Good evening, everyone. My name is Fan Yang, Assistant Director at William Stephanie Foundation. Welcome to the business workshop, SBA Resources for Myanmar Small Business in the US. Before we officially start, I would like to acknowledge some dignitaries and our guest speakers. Mr. Honorary Dr. Zhao Lin Monk, Consul General of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. Deputy Consul Mayat Nini Win of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. Mr. Zhao Diwa from UMFCCI. Mr. Pellson Lau, Lead Export Finance Manager from the US Small Business Administration. Last but not least, Mr. Daniel Sieu, Chairman of William Stephanie Foundation. First of all, I would like to briefly introduce our foundation, William Stephanie Foundation. William and Stephanie Foundation was established to assist underserved communities of all ethnicities. Its founders, Daniel and Ling Sieu, come from a long history of service to the community. The role of William Stephanie Foundation is the bridge between the federal and the state governments and the various ethnic groups that comprise the Asian and ASEAN communities. In addition to promoting economic development of minorities, William and Stephanie Foundation also initiates and organizes positive energy events, such as cultivating teenagers' social responsibility, increasing public awareness of environmental sustainability, local scholarship program, and music healing therapy. Compared to material abundance, we believe awakening everyone's dream and having a beautiful mind is more important. I would like to introduce our guest speakers for today, Mr. Pellson Lau and Mr. Daniel Sieu. First, Mr. Pellson Lau. Pellson Lau is the lead export manager, finance manager for the Office of International Trade, U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA. He covers the territories of Southern California from his office at the U.S. Export Assistance Center, Los Angeles, which is USPAACC. Prior to the SBA, he amassed over 25 years working experience in the banking industry, specializing in international trade operations, commercial lending, credit review and administration, and various government loan guarantee programs through the Export-Import Bank of the United States and SBA. Pellson holds a banking diploma from the London Institute of Banking and Finance, formerly known as IFS School of Finance, United Kingdom, a certificate in personal financial planning from the University of California, Los Angeles, and an MBA from the University of Southern California. He is an enrolled agent licensed by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service. Pellson also completed the Excellence in Government Fellows Program from the Partnership for Public Service. Our second guest speaker for today, Mr. Daniel Sieu, Chairman of William Stephanie Foundation. Mr. Daniel Sieu is the Chairman of William Stephanie Foundation and the CDAC member by appointment of the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. Mr. Daniel Sieu has worked directly and indirectly with MBDA under U.S. Department of Commerce since 1997. He has spent the past few years building relations with the Consulate and communities of the ASEAN countries, which stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, as part of his long-term strategy of building overseas relations, identifying development opportunities, and bringing in minority contractors as participants. Currently, his team is reaching out to ASEAN countries to assist the business owners in becoming familiar with applying for government assistance programs from the federal and the state government. So this is our guest speakers for today. Now I would like to introduce Honorary CG Zhao Limang gives us opening speech as Honorary CG of Myanmar. Let's give him a round of applause.
Distinguished guests from U.S. Small Business Administration, William Study Foundation, business leader and members of USPAACC and all participants. Mingalaba, very auspicious days to you all. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to hold this workshop at the Consulate General of Myanmar in Los Angeles. Since its establishment in 2015, our office has been serving the purpose of protecting and promoting the interests of Myanmar American communities, enhancing and strengthening relations with local authorities and various entities along the U.S. coast to enable better economic, trade, investment, and tourism opportunities and environments. In this sense, I would like to express my great appreciation to U.S. Small Business Administration and the William Study Foundation for offering us the opportunity to share resources to the Myanmar American community on topics relating to getting loans and export-import. The coverage of topic is more focused than what we have announced on our Facebook page and website. I would like to see transnational networking between Myanmar American communities and the Union of Myanmar Federation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, USPAACC. This workshop is an initial step in this direction. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the official concerns of the UNFCCI for timely providing exportable Myanmar products displayed at the 12th annual celebration of the International Trade Community in Los Angeles. At the event, studying Myanmar products get attention. I'd also greatly appreciate UNFCCI for broad participation in this workshop. I'd also profoundly grateful to all our participants for your engagement and attending in person. I noticed the participation of Myanmar American communities in this workshop is quite lower than expected, but I believe our community people have here soon understand our office sincere will towards them and our engagement in this sense. Our Myanmar Consulate General team is willing to jointly organize similar workshops occasionally. I would like to invite Myanmar American communities to join us more in the future. I've also introduced Myanmar Gazette newspaper to the William Study Foundation so that our community people become aware of the services being provided by the foundation and through their contact with the foundation, how to get financial and other assistance from the state and federal government authorities in conducting their businesses. Myanmar Gazette is a widely read monthly newspaper, which is also available online, I think. William Study Foundation's media engagement with Myanmar Gazette would enable our community people to contact the foundation directly. Like I said earlier, it is our initial initiative for serving the purpose of promoting the interests of Myanmar American communities and building up people-to-people, business-to-business, transnational networks between Myanmar and the United States. We have a long way to go, but your eagerness and participation would strengthen our endeavors in overcoming obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorary CG Zhao Limang. Now let's welcome remarks by the Union of Myanmar Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor, and very good morning and Mingalaba to you all from Myanmar. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Jody Wan, Joint Secretary General of USPAACC, as well as the President of the Union of Myanmar Burma Ethnic Entrepreneurs Association. As our Mr. President of UMFCCI is on his trip to Laos, attending the ASEAN-PAC meeting, I'm assigned to deliver the remarks on behalf of UMFCCI. Taking this opportunity, I would like to say thank you to Honorable CG Dr. Zor Lim Mao for organizing and hosting this wonderful event. William Stephanie is a foundation that assists underserved communities of all ethnicities, and we are glad to hear that the foundation has come to our people in the United States for support. My special thanks go to its founder, Mr. Daniel and Mr. Ling, for establishing this organization and helping underserved communities. Again, thank you very much to the guest speaker, Mr. Pellson, Mr. Daniel, and our moderator, Mr. Feng Yang. As we all know that the role of Consulate General is protecting and promoting the Myanmar communities living in the United States, while also creating better economic, trade, investment, and business opportunities between Myanmar and the United States. COVID-19 has changed so many ways in our lives due to the pandemic. The majority of businesses have suffered, some have closed down, and many are still trying their best to recover. Currently, the global economy is not in a very robust condition, and we are now paving the way to recover from the pandemic. As you all know, financial constraints are one of the largest issues for the business to operate. And in order to survive, financial assistance would be a huge advantage for all businesses, especially MSMEs. On behalf of UMFCCI, I'm very glad to hear that William Stephanie Foundation is planning not only to provide financial assistance, but also to share knowledge on how to avoid scams, which is considered a very huge risk for MSMEs, especially to underserved communities. At the same time, we also understand that SBA is advocating for small businesses, empowering entrepreneurship and assisting small businesses to start, build, and grow. UMFCCI is the national apex non-governmental organization representing the private sector to strengthen Myanmar businesses. We are willing to provide you with the necessary assistance and support and can assure you that there is a potential for further business collaborations and trade enhancements between MSMEs in the United States and Myanmar. One of the objectives of UMFCCI is MSME development, promoting the successful formation and growth of SMEs for sustainable, equitable, and diversified grassroots economic development. In business, there's no argument that understanding taxation, finance, and trade imperative for us to survive in the business field. With the spirit of continued success, cooperation, and coordination, I wish to have a productive workshop event. I firmly believe that this workshop will benefit small businesses with invaluable information and knowledge and assist them to be successful. Last but not least, UMFCCI is looking forward to much more effective future cooperation with all of you. Well, let me conclude my remarks here and thank you very much.
Thank you. Now let's welcome Mr. Daniel Sieu, our first guest speaker for today, to share some updates from state of California, including be aware of recent scams, IBANK, SSBCI, CalKit, and the middle class tax refund. Thank you.
Thank you, Fan Yang, and thank you, CG, for having us here today. Greetings, everyone, and greetings to everyone coming to us from Myanmar. First, I'd like to give you an idea of where we're coming from as far as our foundation. We've been working with more so the federal government for the last 20, 30 years. And then as the pandemic came on upon us, we were finding out that so many of the minority community, the Asian community were not being served. No one was really reaching out to the communities and giving them an idea of what the different programs to help them were about, whether it was business or personal. And so we made it our mission to put together these webinars, bring our contacts such as Mr. Pellson Lau, SBA, and the state of California, and bring the government to them. All of the people in the community who needed the help but weren't getting the help. So that's kind of how it brought us to here today. As we see it, Southeast Asia is one of the growingest economies, at least before the pandemic. And we wanted to make sure that the relation with the US and Asia was facilitated and strengthened and helped to convey to everyone how to do business, especially with the USA, or in a lot of cases with your country and other countries of the ASEAN nations. Special things within California and the US government, people aren't always aware of, and other things such as scams. People don't realize it may look exactly authentic, like a federal program or like a bank or something like that, or an official person may call you on the phone and request money or your bank account. And we need to educate people. There are so many different scams, and there's new scams coming up all the time. You probably will never be able to identify them all. So what we've been doing is, if you run into a scam or something you think is a scam, please contact us. We've been sending it to the state treasurer, and she's been having them go ahead and review what the particular situation was to determine if it's a scam or not. And if it's a scam, we'll alert our media contacts. So if you're one of our followers within our contact list, then you'll be notified of these kind of things. So this on the screen. Okay, this is a recent scam that we ran into. Anyways, someone called me on it. They're asking, do I have to pay this or what? But we looked into it, turned out to be a scam. And so this state treasurer posted it, and now hopefully no one will get injured by this particular one. Now, okay. Another thing we're doing, there are so many different state and federal programs available to business owners, just regular people, what have you. But unless you know where to look or who to ask, you'll probably never find all of the programs that are available, which you never think, in a lot of cases, you never think that they have this kind of program, but actually they did, and it will financially benefit a lot of people. So here's a few of the most current and highlighted programs with the state, and Mr. Lau will go over the ones on the federal side with SBA. And then if you need more help, so for here tonight, this morning, to give you an idea what's out there. From there, we want to introduce ourselves. So if you have any questions or need any help or guidance, please contact us. So then we can direct you or help you directly, direct you to what may help your business and your personal what have you. Okay, so just as an example, the IBANK here, this is a program similar to the federal SBA program, except it's by the state. This helps businesses who can't quite get a loan, it entices a bank to go ahead and make that loan to them based on what they call loan loss reserve. Basically, if the bank loses money, the state will pay back a portion of that money. So that's good for a lot of new and up and coming businesses, especially if you don't have a lot of collateral or years of experience. SSBCI, this is similar. This is where lenders who are qualified with the state put out the money, and the government is assisting them by either adding to a loan loss reserve or working with the bank in getting these people qualified. CalKids, this is a new program where if you have a newborn born after July 1st, the state's actually starting a bank account so that your child, by the time they become 18, they'll have enough money to possibly go to college. So that's something very new, and you probably never heard of this kind of program where the government's going to start a bank account for you. Okay, employee retention tax credit. This is a federal program which a lot of businesses, if you were in business during the pandemic, for each of your working employees, the state is giving back up to $26,000 in tax credit. So if you have 20, 30 employees, I mean, that could add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's free money. So if that's of interest to anybody, we can go through the detail, but it is quite complicated. If you care to venture on your own to do it, good luck. But there are people such as our foundation out there to help people to apply for that funding. A lot of people have never heard of this program. A lot of people have applied, but they think, well, is this real or not? Believe me, it's real. Many of our clients have actually gotten checks, 100, 200,000 when they had no idea this existed until we introduced it. Okay, so these are the different federal programs that were happening during the pandemic. These are the funding for the federal government. We won't go into details as to qualifying and so forth. Actually, excuse me, this is the underlying criteria for that. The last employee ERTC, employee retention tax credit program. So I mean, reading over this probably makes your head already spin. So that's why we're here to help people figure it out. It's not easy, not an easy task. And this is more how the employer qualifies. We can give out this information to anyone as well. To they can read through it and see if this is something they wish to pursue. More funding criteria. Okay, this is a new program with the state, which they're setting aside funding for startup businesses. So for those of you who want to start up a business, in the past, there was never any money available for startup businesses because it's obviously high risk. So in this case, the state government found it in the best interest to help businesses who are wanting to start, or people who want to start a new business. So we can help you on applying for that, or you can also look up in the state to find the program and see if you may qualify. And at that, I'll turn it over to our other guest speaker, Pellson Lau, to talk about the SBA program. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Council General. Thank you, Daniel, for giving me this opportunity to talk about SBA program and the program service. First of all, greeting to everybody here. Good evening here and good morning in Myanmar. And I think this event is very important because we kind of come together, get a lot of different types of resources. Like for example, the thing that Daniel just mentioned, I don't know about that kind of information. So this is also new to me. Like for example, before that, I talked to a lady, the CEO. I come to know her business, like the staffing solution. So regarding the school, right? So this is something also new to me. So I think it's good that we have this kind of, this kind of event. So okay, first of all, let me talk about the SBA. So let me try here, my information. Okay. My contact information. So SBA is a federal government agency. Basically, we help company, to grow their business, and we have different different programs. Oftentimes we talk about 3C, which is credit, which is help company to get financing. Counseling, we help provide some kind of counseling service, and also help company to do contracting. Those are the things that we do. So my area, basically, I'm in the Office of International Trade. So basically, I am handle what we call an export guarantee loan program. So Office of International Trade basically is also SBA. It's kind of what we call a special task force to particularly handle the SBA export loan program. So what we try to do is really help companies to export in terms of whether they go to different countries, increase their what we call the export sale, or when we increase export different countries. Those are the things that we do. So in my office, basically, we do three things. The first one we do basically, we work with the bank, with lender, what we call lender, that to help them to provide this kind of loan programs, small business. Because SBA is not a direct lender. Basically, we provide loan guarantee. So we need to work with the bank. So first thing we do, we kind of support them to make this loan. The second thing, work with small business like you. You probably don't know this program, and you don't know how to start, where you can be a lender, and know nothing about this one. Of course, you can find the information on the website, or maybe you talk to the bank. Probably they don't have a complete solution to you. So that's second thing we do. We work with small business like you. We kind of facilitate you to get the financing. The third thing we do, in my office, basically, we do the underwriting. So for a certain type of loan, we underwrite for approval. So that's the three things I do basically in my office. I know that, oftentimes you go to the bank to get financing, oftentimes maybe not easy, in a way that, they have their own way of doing things. Basically what we call it 5C, like character, capacity, capital. Those are the consideration. What I'm trying to say, basically, bank is a profit organization. When I say profit organization, is that they loan you the money, they want to make sure you can repay the loan, right? This is basic concept. So that's the requirement, what we call it 5C. Basically, they look at your credit history, they look at whether you have generated certain profit to pay the loan, whether your collateral, those are the things they look at, right? So that's why we have SBA. Which, with the SBA guarantee, it depends on whether this loan is guaranteed 75% or 90% loan guarantee. We kind of like enhance you to get the financing in a way that we go with the guarantee from the government. So with that, the bank may sort of like relax their requirement. Like usually, for example, they look at the loan, they require you to have like 700 credit score, but probably with the SBA guarantee, they can lower their credit score. Or maybe collateral, oftentimes they will require loan you to have certain collateral, but SBA, that is not a what we call a big requirement that, even though in some cases you don't have collateral, you probably can get a financing because of the SBA guarantee. That's why we're SBA here. So I kind of come about in general, not go into detail each area. On the SBA, again, so many programs. As an outsider, as a small business, you don't know all of that stuff, but you have to know about it. Basically, You can come to SBA or come to the lender, so they can kind of tell you which program. But here again, I give you an idea. One loan we call SBA Express program is kind of small loan, basically up to 500,000, get 50% loan guarantee from the government. Okay. SBA 7A loan is what we call a traditional loan. We provide 75% loan guarantee. The loan amount can be up to $5 million. And cap line is what we call a revolving line of credit. So it's also a loan, but kind of line of credit instead of term loan. So and then there are some other loans like micro loan program. Basically, the loan can up to 50,000, and they are not actually loaned by the bank. It's loaned by what we call a CDFI. It's a special agency. Community Advance Loan Program, Firewall Program. Firewall Program. When we say firewall program, maybe I give you an example. What do you mean by firewall program? Basically, let's say you go to, or you want to buy a commercial building, like for owner occupied. Let's say the commercial building, just for example only, you can find a building for $1 million. But just for example, $1 million, and you only have 100,000 deposit, maybe 10%. No way you go to the bank. There's no way that you have 10% down payment, you want to get a loan, right? No way, like 10%. Usually they require at least 30%, right? That's why firewall program. That's one of the way that, firewall meaning that the bank loan you 50,000, 1,500,000, then SBA comes behind 400,000, and then you have 100,000. That's why kind of basic concept when you talk about the firewall program. Okay, now we talk about export. That's actually my area. So export basically, I mentioned earlier about the SBA loan program, usually 50%, 75% loan guarantee. But for the export loan program, we provide 90% loan guarantee. The reason that, as you know, we have trade deficit in the United States, so we need more export. That's why we want more export. That's why we kind of provide more incentive to the bank. Hey, provide some kind of loan to provide some kind of export loan to business so that they can do more exporting. And we provide 90% loan guarantee. That's why we have an export loan guarantee loan program. On the export loan guarantee program, I don't want to go into detail, but basically I give you an idea that we have 3 types of export guarantee loan program. The first one we call export working capital program. Export working capital program, you consider this is a revolving line of credit. The way that I can describe how you can utilize that, let's say you are exporting product to overseas, maybe to China, to Asia, United Kingdom. You're exporting product to them, and you get a pretty sizable order from them. Like, for example, I use 1 million, okay? 1 million, let's say order from them $1 million. And let's say, just example, maybe you are selling the table to a company in the United Kingdom. Okay, they are buying 1 million table from you, okay, $1 million size. But you need financing, right? You need capital to produce a product, right? So that you can ship to overseas and collect the money to pay, right? So in the beginning, when you get the order, you don't have enough capital. But let's say you can make 200,000 profit, that means your cost is still 800,000, right? But you don't have 800,000. You probably have only 200,000. You need 600,000 financing, right? That's why we call pre-shipment financing. So you go to the bank most of the time, you get a piece of order, copy, a paper, saying that I got an order from overseas. That paper actually doesn't worth anything. Paper is the paper, right? There's no inventory, no account receivable there. So that's why the SBA come into the picture that maybe we can do something for you. We provide loan guarantee to the bank so that they can provide you pre-shipment financing. That's what we call an export working capital program. The second program called international trade loan, which is the same that I mentioned about earlier about 7A program. It is a term loan that basically enhance you, for example, to buy a commercial building. Those kind of stuff. The term can be 25 years. The difference is that if you are buying the building or you are buying equipment, and that building or that equipment can help you to do more export sales. Like It doesn't matter. As long as there's increase, we didn't say how many percent. It just said increase. You probably can qualify this kind of international trade loan, and the bank get 90% loan guarantee instead of 75% loan guarantee. That 50% loan guarantee sometimes make a difference. Sometimes we say, hey, I will do the bank, I will do the loan. You get 90% loan guarantee from the government. So that is the second program. The third one called Export Expect. It's just a combination with both, but with a small loan amount only. So I talk about all the things about export. I think you might have a question, but how do we define export? The way we define export is pretty simple. As long as the product is shipped from the United States to overseas, shipped from here, we consider this an export. Okay, so we don't have a U.S. content requirement, meaning that I have many cases that companies may be buying stuff from overseas, maybe importing some kind of product from, let's say, from China to here, and then they do their own packaging, they do their own modification, and then sell it to Mexico. So that product itself may not have a lot of US content, but it's shipped from here. This is export. So that's why we consider export. And also, number of things that I also meant to mention that we also go by what we call a certain country that we are not allowed to do business with. So, those are the things that, unfortunately, we cannot provide any financing, to a certain country. So I know, it's kind of not a right thing to talk about. Myanmar at that time is one of those countries, but hopefully that will change it. Like Cuba, Myanmar, North Korea. But these are things will change, I know. But I just want to give you an idea that you are like a local business here. We talk about exporting, not necessarily export to Myanmar, right? Export to different countries, right? We still can utilize our program. So I mentioned that already, so I don't need to go by that. So I kind of had my slide, so I mentioned already. Okay. Another thing I will talk about is another thing I want to talk about is like I can give you some resources. This presentation I can email out so to attendees so that you know that. So basically, I have in this presentation I contain some kind of web link that you probably know that where you can find the information, and also have my contact information so you can contact me. So I mentioned about the SBA. Not only the financing, we have counseling, government contract, those kind of stuff. And here are more information. Here's the website. You see the website, and that is our resource guide. You go to that. That's the latest one. Basically, you can find all the resources over there, all the information there. So this one, good one. SBDC, SB Small Business Development Center. This is something that we partner. It's funded by the SBA with other maybe universities. This is a free counseling services. So utilize that. Here's the website that you can go in to check to find the local what we call local SBDC to get help, and they can provide you free business counseling. Small center, same thing. It's also a fee for fee. So, for example, you want to start a business, okay? You may be good idea to talk to those call centers, those mentors. They provide you free services. They can help you. Basically, depends on industry, and also they depend on industry. They can give you more idea about how to start your business, and maybe do your business plan, those kind of stuff. So, call center is also one of the good resource that you can use. So that is more like local SBDC call center. We talk about international, and then probably this is another trade finance guide, which is also providing more information about international trade. Department of Commerce, okay, this is another government agency. What they do is, let's say you want to sell your product overseas, you don't know the overseas market, they can help you. They can help you to find the market, and maybe, let's say you want to sell to Turkey. I have a small business asked me last week. They want to export car to Turkey. Okay, so I provide you some information, and also maybe you can talk to the Department of Commerce and Department of Commerce have an office in Turkey. These are the things that you can utilize. Utilize the service. Exim Bank is also another government agency. What they do basically, what we call it, to provide credit insurance. You sell your overseas market. Let's say you sell your product to a company in Turkey. You are not so sure whether the company in Turkey will pay you. So probably you can use that Exim Bank services because they can provide credit insurance in case the Turkey company don't pay. The Exim Bank, which is government, will come back, will kind of back you up and pay the invoice. So this is another one. And then the STEP program. This is from the SBA. STEP program is a grant that we every year we depends on which state. I know we provide some kind of SBA. We provide some money to the state. I think this year, I think 500,000. I think we provide 500,000 to the state, California. So they manage the money. What they do basically, if you want to sell to overseas, probably you need some kind of finance, not finance, maybe you need some money to help you, maybe to attend trade show, or maybe do some marketing, those kind of stuff. Maybe you can apply for that STEP program. And the amount is not that much. I know this year 10,000. At least get some money from it's a grant. So this is something that you probably can consider. Again, the website already there. So you want to apply, so go to the website to register. So that's a STEP program. And that's all I have. I don't know how many minutes I spent, but that's all I have. Open up for questions or what. Thank you.
Thank you again, our guest speakers, Mr. Pellson Lau and Mr. Daniel Sieu. Now, I am sure you have some questions in mind. It's your best time to ask those questions. Due to time limit, we will take about 3 to 5 questions at this time. And later during the free networking, we can talk more about your questions and anything we can help with. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, and Mr. Pellson Lau and Mr. Daniel Sieu will answer your questions.
I'll ask questions. So you have the export loan. What are the interest terms?
Well, that's a good question. Basically, SBA, we do not dictate that. We basically provide loan guarantee only. So it depends on which program, but most of the time is negotiated between you and the lender. Okay, but for certain program, we do mention that what we call a maximum allowable interest rate, they cannot charge you more than that. So it depends on loan. It's a little bit complicated, but most of the time, I believe about prime plus 2 3/4. They cannot charge you more than that. So primary, I think at this time, is 7% now. So probably 9%, something like that. Again, it's negotiable between you and the lender. So, and that kind of interest rate also that, if your financial condition of the company is stronger, maybe you have bargaining power, you get more bargaining power. And also because at the guarantee from the government, you have a higher bargaining power. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now the lender is a private or the government?
The lender is a bank, commercial bank. Yeah. Basically, in California, it's good that there are many banks participate in the SBA loan program. I also work in the one time work in the Louisiana, OEs, and there's not many banks participate in the SBA loan program. But California, basically, most of the banks participate. But well, not all banks are equal. Some banks are more active, some banks are not. So you talk to the bank, your bank about whether they participate or not. Again, we are here. You always come to us. We do whatever we can. I can contact you with the local resources, or maybe I can help you on that. Mm-hmm.
Now you mentioned about the STEP program at the last, where the grant is.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's for anybody open to anybody to apply, or what are the interest requirements?
Basically, they're open to everybody. But I know because we are federal government, we provide funding to the state, and then we don't dictate them how to do it. Basically, they set their own guideline. My understanding from them is, I think the company has at least 1 year operating history. I think that's why, go to their website, register, and then probably they will give you idea about the requirement. Mhm. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have my contact information. Feel free. You don't have a question now. Feel free to ask me later or email me.
Any more questions? So if you don't have more questions, I have 3 questions. Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Pellson. Yeah, what kind of exports are eligible for the loan?
You mean the industry?
Yeah.
Oh,
Exports. What kind of exports are eligible for the loan?
So actually, put it this way, wherever those product is allowed to be export is eligible. Okay. So like, even though some military item, defense item for SBA was still okay, as long as they have what we call a license to export. But in terms of the industry, I would say that we did a survey. I think pretty much 40% of the loan borrower is manufacturing company, like maybe 20-30% is trading company. Okay, so it's varied, but I would say probably 40% manufacturing company, and their product can be different types of equipment. Even though I have a loan borrower, they are just selling what we call a consumer product. Clothing, whatever, it depends on the country, For example, in a couple years ago in China, they were hard on one item called alfalfa. Alfalfa is kind of grass that good for good for the cow to eat, something like that. So it depends, And before we have recycled paper, recycled plastic, those are stuff.
Yeah, and another question that I have an idea. I already have an idea based on your presentation, but to make sure I'm going to ask this question.
Sure.
Are there any limitations to export destinations for Myanmar American communities here? They will be more knowledgeable of the market demands in Myanmar than any other potential export destinations. So which they never had been nor have sufficient knowledge. So is there any?
What we call, I mentioned that basically we go by what we call the SBA country limitation schedule. That is the destination. On that, you go to the website www.exim.go/sn. These are the destinations. So there's a couple of countries at this time, basically kind of dictated by the U.S. government, the Congress, saying that, hey, these are the countries at this time. We are not allowed to do business with them. Iran, Cuba, North Korea, Myanmar, those are countries. So it is a challenging. You are talking about exporting to Myanmar, but probably you can't get that kind of help. But you are Myanmar people here, they want to do the business locally. Yeah, they can still utilize our program. Utilize our program to do the domestic those stuff.
Let's say, for example, our community people, a business want to export pharmaceuticals from the U.S. to Myanmar. For that kind of business, are they eligible for loan?
Not quite at this time. No. Because
of the limitation.
Yeah, the limitation is the country. Yeah, the country limitation. Yeah, at this time. Yeah.
So are there any humanitarian waivers for that kind of thing?
Probably I will check on that because as I said, probably that go to the other government agency that is probably doing that, and they are not under SBA. So it's kind of thing that each government, each agency have their own limitation, and they're what we call a parameter. This is our parameter. But again, in your case, maybe that would be another agency that could help. I can double check with the people in DC to see. You mentioned that in carrier, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that probably not financing. That's another way that maybe can help because especially those kind of health issue, health product. Yeah.
Yeah, the next question is related to the second question. So for small businesses that have acquired loan, do the federal and state governments allow these businesses to import back into the US commodities of their choice from their export destinations?
I think import is okay. Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean, export import go as complementary businesses, and in this sense, two-way trade would be more conducive to loan repayment, as small businesses would be more sustainable this way. So, for example, a business export, pharmaceuticals to Myanmar, and then in return they want to import certain commodities from Myanmar back into the US. So is it allowable or?
There's a two questions because first of all, I think it's really the case that the destination we cannot, you can export to Myanmar, but in terms of eligible for the SBA loan program or even for the HM program, that is not eligible in what we call eligible requirement. When you talk about importing, I think it's okay. You import stuff from those countries, Myanmar is fine, no problem. Yeah.
So if there is no limitation, the import is possible.
Yeah. Again, I'm talking about on the financing side. But when you're talking import, that goes to another agency whether they will allow those kinds of import. It depends on the product, model.
Approval.
And we can work with your clients too if they have particular things that they want to bring in, because through our different contacts within the federal government, we kind of know who we need to ask or find out who we need to ask to get it approved or disapprove or find a different event.
Yeah, that will be the U.S. Customer Border. That will be the agency called U.S. Customer Border, and then you can also check with them, or I can provide you the information, the contact person. Then you probably can check with them too. Yeah.
And then sometimes there's several agencies.
It depends on who cover the area. You're right. Yeah.
So if a business does not seek loan, can they? Import its commodities from Myanmar?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Again, I'm not the expert on the area, so I think so.
Yeah.
So that's easily a phone call away. Your answer.
So phone call away. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
One last question. So if I want to do it like the counselor said, pharmaceutical product exporting from here, not necessarily seeking for a loan, what are the requirements? Where do I start? Because I have no experience in that thing.
You know exactly what you want to export. So, for example, medical. Medical product versus a device. So maybe start the FDA. And then a freight forwarder would also know what kind of documentation is required by both sides to get it there. Because you get it out of country, get it in the country. Every country has their own rules. So that would be a good start.
You said freight forward?
Freight forward.
Freight forwarder, yeah. So those are the people who arrange your shipping and make sure your paperwork's in line. That's a whole industry in itself. And so you want to know someone or hire someone who's familiar with your country, especially. Then they'll know what's offhand. They'll just know what's allowable, what's not allowable. More likely.
I see. Who is the particular in freight forwarder that do I search or in a website or like? Is there any some sort of resources that I can look up or?
Well, for example, if you're
any particular
your community
company that I can call?
If your community has like a paper or online media, what have you, then I would think that they would have freight forwarders and these kind of people advertising for the business. Most Asian countries, they have their own freight forwarders who specialize in their country or the surrounding countries. So that's a good start. Or give us a call. We'll be glad to help you.
Okay.
And then just so you know, we serve clients anywhere from a startup to ones who are well established doing like grain export or import or what have you. In certain instances, the government helps us to outreach to the small business community, just because if no one, they can't do it themselves. It's hard for them to reach the communities. It takes a lot of time and resources. And if you look at it, for example, your community versus Hispanic community, they would be able to identify a lot more Hispanic companies because there's just so many more. So they're going to say, well, why do I waste my time with these little Asian communities when I can get all the goals and quotas and what have you by just serving the African American and Hispanic. So that's why so many Asian communities are left behind, because for one, they don't know how to outreach to the Asian communities. They don't speak the language, and they don't have the trust in the community either. So that's why we work with the different consulates and their communities to gain the trust, so we can really tell you what's out there available to you. Otherwise, so many people don't find out what the programs are.
Because you don't even know where to start.
Yeah,
So I was
understood.
like, okay, come here to find out what are the resources out there that I can look it up and make a phone call and start from somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. This is very helpful. Appreciate it.
Could you invite someone from the online if they have any questions?
So for our online audiences, if you have any questions, please feel free to put into the chat box, or just ask your questions so we can help answer that.
I think Mr. Jordi is asking for the floor. The line's not really good, so maybe we can
Maybe
answer.
can I ask the one last question to Mr. Lau?
Oh, sure.
So when you said there's a limit to the export products to Burma, where can I find the resources for those limits of exportation from US to
Basically, go to the website, the Exim Bank website. You can use it basically exim.gov/CLF.
Okay.
CLSM stands for Country Limitation Schedule. Okay. And also, you can also check with the Department of Commerce. Also, you have my PowerPoint later. You have the website. You can find the information. Contact them. There's a lot of different type of agents that can help you on that. Or maybe send me an email. If you have any question, I will probably direct you to the. If I can answer a question, I answer it. If not, I can direct you to the.
Thank you.
The resources.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Before we move into the free networking session, I would like to strongly encourage everyone in this room to pick up a form. This form is called U.S. Small Business Administration Form 3516. Please pick up a form from the link. So free business assistance can be provided to you, no matter you are a business or an individual or a sole proprietor. I would like to thank you everyone for being here today, considering this is 7 p.m. in Los Angeles, so you are all heroes for today. This is Fan Yang signing off as moderator. I hope everyone have an unforgettable evening and a great holiday season. Thank you so much.
Thank you.